So welcome to another unboxing video from theplayersaid.com. My name's Alexander, and today we're taking a look at Plains Indian Wars from John Paniski. This was recently put out by GMT Games. This is maps designed by Terry Leeds, so you know you're getting a nice looking game. But this particular game, we played a very pre-production prototype copy of this like 3 years ago. This has been in the works for a long time. And it's very exciting to see it finally kind of hit the wider market. So, nice big 3-inch GMT Games box. This is kind of a 1 to 4 players. We've only ever played it 2. Fast-playing game about the Plains Indian Wars. So if you've ever played the Birth of America series, this will be very familiar to you. It uses the same core system, but this has its own wrinkles and chrome in it that make it very engaging and have more of a directed kind of narrative, which I really enjoyed. So let's crack this open and see what we got. This box is absolutely chock full. So the first thing you've got, Solitaire Rules. That is immediately something that I know a lot of people like. We haven't used these, so it'll be very interesting to see how this works. But looking at this, it looks like it references... There's like little solitaire markers in each one of these for directional movement and things like that in each of the spaces. So that'll be interesting to see and play around with. Rulebook, full color. Oh, look at that. Look at a pictorial game setup. I wish more games had this. I mean, more war games. Most Euro games have this. And this is very much a hybrid style game. But not a lot of rules. You know, it's dense enough, but you're looking at 15 pages of rules, really. So not a big complicated game in that sense. This is a game that's meant to kind of pick it up, dive right into it. Again, if you play Birth of America, you'll know how most of this works. There is a cube movement chart because there are different types of units. You have, I don't remember, so there's North Plains tribes, South Plains tribes, and then enemies of the North Plains and South Plains tribes. This is kind of like somewhere in between. And then you've got settlers, you've got like US cavalry units, and then you've got the Transcontinental Railroad, which you're kind of building in between, and then there's wagons, which are kind of moving progressively from east to west. Very neat part of the game. So there's a big old map. Let's crack this out because you want to see this. Alright. So this is the map, and we're going from... Let me make sure we kind of get this right, which way I'm going. I'm looking at this upside down. So you've got the starting station here at St. Louis, and you're trying to build this transcontinental railroad down to Sacramento, California. And so what you're doing is you're trying to build from both ends and meet in the middle, and then it's finished. That's kind of the quickest way that you're doing it. So then you have Mexico down here, and you've got Canada up here, and these are those purple cubes, and then there's the green section for the North Plains tribes, and this orange section for the South Plains tribes, and then the purple are like opposing them. So what a lot of what this game is that orange and green are trying to harry all of the people who are coming across, trying to fend off the purple guys, and then fight combats with the blue cavalry who are trying to escort and protect everything that's going on. And so the one player who's playing with the non-Indians is going to be using these purple cubes, which are they're more regulars and militia units to keep the Indians tribes occupied whilst the train line is made and whilst the settlers kind of get across. So there's a lot of, it's not just like attack. You're having to do all of these skirmishes and forays into these lands, protect yourself. There's a lot of nice, interesting decisions and combats to be made in this, it's really neat. But the map itself, gorgeous, looks great. So we have a ton of dice and a ton of cubes and discs. So the cubes and discs are everything that you would expect. Little wooden cubes or wooden discs. Many of them are going to start in holding boxes and they're going to move across the board. But the dice, again, who doesn't love custom dice? And I can't tell you how big these dice are. These are not your regular D6s. but they have custom embossed printed symbols on them, which just are fantastic. They look great. Not a lot of symbols on them, a lot of blanks. So just understand that doing some of these things is very difficult, but very, very cool looking dice. And there's a bunch of them. Who doesn't like a pick and a revolver, right? And so they're different for each of the factions, which again, we appreciate very much. The blue for like the US cavalry dice. Who doesn't like that, right? Who doesn't like that? And you get a big stack of those. You do have a bag into which you're going to be placing a bunch of cubes. And then I think the last thing that we've got here are the various decks of cards, which very nicely, they package these individually and seal these individually. I appreciate that very much. So, once again, Birth of America series, you're playing your little faction, and you have a deck of cards. And so one player is going to do the Plains tribes, and one player is going to do the US and the settlers. If you're doing it 2-player, if 4-player, everyone gets one. But these are very large tarot-sized cards. Once again, I appreciate that very much. They look great, but here you've got just come on. Who doesn't love the illustrations on these? Text, and it tells you what you can do and how to do it, basically. And you've got a little bit of nice historical background on these. I don't know if some of you guys don't read it. I do. I love it. But these are just, they're such well-made cards. And I just appreciate, the size of them is just wonderful, frankly. But it just looks so great. You'll love it. But, it's not like the most insanely complicated game. It's only 15 pages of rules. But more than some of the other games of this kind of ilk, this one has much more of a focused direction to it. Like, you have a set goal. It's not just take some places for some victory points. This is, you got to get your settlers across to the west, you got to build that railroad, and you got to fend off people whilst trying to do those things. And so you have much more of a specified directive, and so it's, it's maybe a little less kind of open-ended than some of the other games are in this series, but as such, it feels less kind of vague, and it feels like it's doing what it's trying to tell of this piece of history. So I really, really enjoyed playing this game. This is... we did a video preview of this, so if you want to kind of look through that and learn what our thoughts were on this, you can go and watch that. I'll post that below, but this, I cannot tell you how nice the production of this game has turned out. And also, what I will say is, orange, brown, green, and blue, it's nice that they didn't go red-green. I think they've really tried to do something here to make this as accessible as possible, with the added solo module as well, so it can get into as many players' hands as you can. Because I do think that this is a piece of history that you kind of know about, you learn in some of the textbooks in American high schools, but getting to kind of play with it and interact with it and see some of the challenges that they were up against and to recreate some of that, always interesting and engaging. So this is Plains Indian Wars from John Paniski and GMT Games. Appreciate you very much for tuning in. I've been Alexander from theplayersaid.com.